Back to the basics. I brought one hour down so many times you don't want to even get up and just face it. You've been doing your best, trying to test every nest to find the best one you can lay in. That's why the CoRe project is here to help you gain skills to help you succeed and build your own nest, springboard you to success. Nah, you go break through. Charlie, even COVID can defeat you. Search inside your core and you see you got the MasterCard of life in you. And it's so true, it is past due. So don't let nobody deceive you. I brought one here, didn't crack. I say any that's so hot. So this is what you should do. Charlie, still move.
What if simply your interest be my interest entirely? So I can say that from this day in you I'll stay. As you save us from dangerous ways that we can pave, I'll proclaim that you light the way to a better day. 'Cause I'm nothing compared to nothing without you. I'm nothing compared to nothing without you. So every day of my life I want to know you and your truth. One thing I know, I will live and not die, 'cause you are life, you live in me. Oh, there's no God besides you. Truth is you. Oh, there's no God besides you. Truth is you. And there's no God besides you. Truth is you. Truth is you. And so I hold on to you all my days. Oh God, I just wanna bask in your love, rest in your trust. Yes, in you, my God, I just wanna live totally for you. Sing of your truth all my days. So I'll hold on, hold on. Yes, I'll hold on, hold on. And so I'll hold on to you, oh, all my days. I just wanna bask in your love, rest in your trust. Yes, in you, my God, I just wanna live totally for you. Sing of your truth my days, 'cause I'm nothing compared to nothing without you. And there's no one besides you. Truth is you. Oh, I'm nothing compared to nothing without you. And there's no one besides you. Truth is you. And so I'll hold on to you, oh, all my days. I just wanna bask in your love, rest in your trust. Yes, in you, my God. I just wanna live totally for you, sing of your truth all my days. No mistake about you. No mistake about you. No mistake about you. About you. About you. There is no mistake about you. No mistake about you. No mistake about you. About you. About you. You are born for good. There's no mistake about you. About you. Regardless of the things I pointed out to say this isn't true. You are born for good. There's no mistake about you. Oh, about you. Regardless of the things I pointed out to say this isn't true. Oh, you are born for good. 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 So dry your eyes, you'll be fine. Christ's light shines, all is bright. Dry your eyes, you'll be fine. You are born for good. Oh, dry your eyes, you'll be fine. Christ's light shines, all is bright. Dry your eyes, you'll be fine. You are born for good. Oh, no mistake about you. No mistake about you. No mistake about you. About you. About you. There is no mistake about you. No mistake about you. No mistake about you. About you. About you. You there, you're so dear, priceless. You there, you're so dear, priceless. I was once on the other side, know the void you feel inside. That's why I beckon you come. In His word He says He will lead your way by His power and grace. You will never fail. In His word He says He will lead your way by His power and grace. You will never fail.
Thank you so much, Kofi. It's such a privilege to be here today with you. Welcome to the CoRe Conference. The CoRe Conference is an initiative of the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with Solidaridad and the MasterCard Foundation. Well, change is an integral part of our lives. However, most of us, if not all of us, are sometimes afraid of that change. I guess part of the reason is the fact that we don't know exactly what to do about that change. Today, on the CoRe Conference, we are talking about adaptability and sustainability. We will be privileged to have wonderful people, and I know if you are not already connected, you are connected, and therefore join us via Zoom or Facebook. I would encourage you, call your friends to also join and be part of this great initiative. I will definitely introduce my first guest right after this break. Please don't go away. Use the time to call your friends to join us.
Are you a young person dealing with the disruptions caused by COVID-19 to our careers, education, health, and social lives? Welcome to the CoRe program, an e-learning, e-mentoring, and e-counseling program designed to equip you with diverse skills to enable you to thrive now and even beyond this pandemic. We encourage you to download the video, audio, and workbook for each episode for free on the CoRe program website, www.core.com.gh. If you are an MTN user in Ghana, you can download all videos, audios, or workbooks on our website without using your data. It's completely zero rated. And here's the bonus benefit: if you register on the website and go through a minimum of the 20 of the 24 sessions before the end of November, you will qualify for a certificate of completion from the CoRe program. We will be very excited to hear from you. Post your questions and comments on our social media pages at CoRe program, or send them to us on the CoRe WhatsApp hotline 0551 535 533. CoRe, learning together, growing together.
Welcome back. As I said, we are talking about adaptability and sustainability. And today, our first guest for today is Zaina Adamu. She is a Harvard University master's candidate and a former journalist of CNN. Now, if you realize if there's going to be any pressure on me, you can imagine having a CNN trained journalist in the studio. It's going to be wonderful. Zaina is an executive director of the Ghana Girl Rising, a social enterprise aimed at improving education access for Ghana's underserved young women. Proud to her present role, she was a journalist at CNN and had the privilege of covering both the 2016 and the 2012 U.S. presidential elections. She holds a bachelor's in English and journalism at Morgan State University and is currently pursuing her master's, as I said, at Harvard. ladies and gentlemen watching us via Zoom as well as via Facebook. It is my utmost privilege to do call to the podium at this moment Zaina Adamu to talk about sustainability and adaptability. Join the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Comfort. I'm very honored to be here. It's such a pleasure to learn so much about this program, and I'm very appreciative. And literally a week later, the whole world shut down, and so everyone was scrambling, and we all know we were all scrambling. Jobs, schools, families. You know, how are we going to sustain this? But we have. We're standing here. We're still working. We're still thriving, and hopefully, we're all safe and healthy. But what's most important is knowing that everything is cyclical, right? And so when you're going through moments, what this year has taught us is that as we move forward in life, when we go through moments of trials and tribulations, be mindful that when things go down, they come back up again. Everything goes in a circle. And so I am very, very determined that we're going to survive this, and know that being adaptable strengthens you, and be encouraged by any downfalls or pitfalls that you may be facing at the time. Shall I continue? I can keep going. All right.
15 minutes.
I have 15 minutes. Wow, okay. I was told I have 3 minutes. So we're going to continue. So when we're talking about adaptability, for instance, because there's a difference, right? So it's one thing to adapt, and it's another thing to sustain. Being able to adapt is dealing with a coronavirus pandemic, for example, and using that as a tool to strengthen you, as we talked about earlier. Now, so that's adapting, but then it's about sustaining, right? So let's say that we continue with this pandemic and this doesn't go away and there's no vaccine for at least another, I don't know, 5 years. How do you sustain, right? So it's about using moments like this to learn new things. What skills can you acquire? What networks can you make? I think now more than ever, people have time to schedule coffee meetings and things of that sort. Now is the time. And if you remember during the beginning of the lockdown, if you're active on social media, you may have seen that there was this meme suggesting that, you know, if there was something that you really wanted to do in life and you didn't do it then, if you're not doing it now, then will it ever get done? You know, we were in lockdown for quite a long time, and many of us have had our lives disrupted, and we're staying home. Luckily, with the power of technology, which is something that I'd like to get into later on in my presentation, my 15-minute long presentation is how do you elevate yourself and diversify your portfolio, right? And so, for instance, if you've always wanted to learn how to speak French, now is the time, right? Again, sustainability, because what life was before March 2020 will not be again. That I know for sure. And it's about how do I maintain relevancy in life. Again, both professionally and personally. That's very important. And so there's several ways that you can do that. But first, it's really about doing some self-reflection and asking yourself, what is it that I want to achieve? What is my life's calling? And how can I use my life's calling to serve others, right? Because essentially, what we're all meant to do here is to serve. And you think about, you know, in any situation, even as I look across the studio, you see the cameraman and the photographer, and you see the producer. You see our host, Miss Comfort. You know, these are all roles that require service to others, right? It's about having a skill and using that to help others who may be watching on Facebook Live or on other platforms. And so now is the time, and it's not too late, to learn a new skill. Okay, that's a part of sustainability. On the topic of that, we also need to talk about long-term goals, right? And so when we're talking about how do I sustain myself in a period like this, long-term, where do you see yourself? And so, you know, our audience, from what I read, is between the ages of 18 and 35 years old. So if you're 25 years old right now, where do you see yourself at 30? And what are you doing now to ensure that what you're doing then will help you in 5 years? Because what they say is, and this is true, who you are today is what you were doing 5 years ago. And who you will be in 10 years or in 5 years is what you're doing now. And so it's about constantly thinking about, how do I progress? How do I elevate myself, and how do I use the resources and the skills that I have to better serve the people around me? That's very, very instrumental. And I think that when you combine a skill that you have and you compare and combine that with public service, you not only succeed, you triumph. And you see that with a lot of the greats in our world. We have an election coming up here in Ghana in a couple of weeks. I think the story of Nana Akufo-Addo is very inspiring for me and for many. I'm not endorsing any political party here, but I'm just using him as an example. You look at this man, and he ran for the presidency twice and lost twice. And that leads me into the next part of my presentation, is the importance of maintaining strength through the failures, because that happens. As we learn to adapt and sustain, you will fail. It's inevitable. It happens to everyone. That's a part of the process of growth. And so going back to the president of the country, who is now running for a second term, you know, he ran for office twice before and lost, you know. But do you think that he would be at the Flagstaff House now if he had given up the first time he had lost? You know, ask yourself that. Or what about the second time? He chose to continue to push, and that is what caused him to win eventually. And so that's what happens in your lives, is that when you fail, what's happening is there's a breakdown that happens, right? And this is I'm speaking from experience as well, because I failed many times. It's a breaking down process, but it's kind of like the muscle. When you go to the gym and you're lifting weights, the way that muscle grows is by breaking that muscle down. And what happens when it heals itself again, it becomes bigger and stronger. And that's the same thing when it comes to failure in life. So every time you fail, you tell yourself, this is just a part of the process. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue. And I'm going to sustain in this world. Now, that leads me to the next part. So when you do succeed, and you will, I'd like to say that anyone who is watching clearly is very intrigued or want to know more about how they can elevate and uplift themselves. So what I have to say is this: when you do succeed, you never want to forget about all of the people who got you to where you are today, or where you will be when you get to that point. So for instance, you start off national service working for, I don't know, I'm trying to think of one of these organizations, these huge organizations. But let's say it's the IRS. I don't know what the IRS is called here in Ghana. Please forgive me. It's called the IRS?
Well, it used to be right now, it's Ghana Revenue Service.
Very good. GRI. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's say you're a finance person and you want to work for a GRI, and you start off national service, you get the position, you continue to become an intern, and then from there you are hired as an analyst, a junior analyst, and then you continue senior level, and then vice president, director, and you continue up. The people, from what I've seen, and this I can tell you is true, is the people who succeed and stay in the positions of worth are those who never let their heads get big. And so as you're going up, you kind of still want to maintain the same level of respect and professionalism for people. As you always have. The same way that you treated people when you were an intern is the same way you treat people when you become the director or the managing director of whatever corporation or institution that you want to work for, or even if you want to start your own business. That's very, very important. And I think a lot of people forget that, is that in life, it's not just skill that's going to get you far. Unfortunately, it's not. It's personality and it's attitude. And without that three, impeccable personality, exceptional attitude, and skill, you unfortunately will not do well. And when we talk about personality, I'm not talking about, not the person that walks into the room and is laughing and joking, and that's great if that's your personality. If you're subdued, that's fine. It's about maintaining a level of respect for everyone, from the man who is collecting your rubbish to the president, and treating everyone in between exactly the same. That's very important. So now, as we circle back into sustainability, what we're learning is that this is something that's going to carry you throughout your life. And so, you never get to one point in your life and think, okay, I've continued learning and I've done everything that I can do. I'm stopping here. No. You want to continue. And a lot of our greats in a lot of fields, whether it be entertainment or in sports or in politics or finance or journalism, whatever field it is that you want to be in, how they maintain their level of power is by continuing to learn. Because what happens is when you stop learning, you grow stale. You don't want to grow stale because, every year there's a new batch of graduates who are acquiring skills that you may not have. And so, by continually keeping yourself abreast of the latest trends, regardless of what field you're in, is going to help you. And I really, really, really implore the young and the old to continue to learn about the business that you're in. And you're failing yourself if you tell yourself that the things that you learned in university is going to carry you until retirement. It won't. And for the older folks that are watching this, and I won't put an age on that because age is and old is relative, but don't be threatened by the young men and women who are coming in and who may have skills that you may not have. I think the right thing to do is to approach these people and ask for help if needed. So what we're learning is that technology has permeated every single aspect of our lives, and these young men and women have some skills that we may not have, myself included. And so when you have the national service or the intern person who's coming in, it's about ensuring that you learn, and it's a collaborative process. I say that to say this: national service and intern folks, obviously you can learn a great deal from folks who've been in the industry 10 plus, 20 plus years. And that goes without saying. I've seen interns who don't think that the people who've come before them, that they're elders, can help them. And that's just silly. You have some skills, some core skills, but there's something called experience that you don't have, and you will not have until you've given or dedicated a certain amount of years into your profession. So it's about collaboration between young and old. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Right. So at this moment, I want to just summarize what you said.
Absolutely.
And then our other speakers will talk, and then following from there, we'll have the conversation with the questions, because the questions are flowing in.
Oh, very good. I'm glad to hear that.
So I would now I'll just do a quick of what is there for us. Well, thank you for joining us for the CoRe Conference. The CoRe Conference, as you know, is an initiative of the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with Solidaridad and the MasterCard Foundation. We have been privileged to be running for the past few months, and I have some very good news for you. Don't worry, don't go away. Well, you've been listening to us on Zoom as well as on Facebook Live, and if you have any questions, we'll be most privileged to take those questions. Additionally, your comments are most welcome. Put them in the chat box or put them on the feed, and we'll get to it. Can you let us know where you are joining us from today? Because I know I've had people from Wale, from all the way from Wale to even Japan, as well as also to London. So today, can you please tell us where you are joining us from? And someone says that today, Sefio says that he's really enjoying the music. And Nyame, I don't know what you're doing at the airport, but you say that you're enjoying the live feed from the Kotoka airport. I don't know if you're coming or you're going, but I hope you are there till the program is over, because I tell you, this is just the beginning. And you can see the way Zaina presented that she's somebody who is used to adapting to change, and therefore that really puts us or keeps us in a very, very good note today. Yuji Aheto says that affect your world. Go, Kofi, and that was to you, Kofi, whilst we are strumming your music. Thank you so much. And he sends a lot of love to you. And then Yuji says that you are born for good. And Mami Ya Papa B says that you're watching from Techiman, Bono East. Fantastic, great to hear. So far, Mami Ya, if I'm giving any prizes out today, Mami Ya from Techiman would win the prize. But I know there are others who are further up than or further away from Mami Ya. So who are you? Where are you watching us from? Do come through for us today. Right. You know, when Zaina was speaking, she made mention of the fact that one of the things that is constant is the fact that you would, if you dedicate yourself to your craft, you will move through the ranks, and therefore you would change. And as that change comes off, how do you adapt yourself in terms of your personality, the need for you to be the same or to have the good personality for those who are higher up, or those, even the person who may have the opportunity of collecting your trash. And it reminded me of a book by Spencer Duncan, which goes with the title as Who Moved My Cheese? And just a quick summary of that book. That book talks about 4 groups of people. 2 he calls the mice, the other 2 he calls the little people. And the mice were called Scary and Sniff, yes. And then the 2 little people were called Hem and Haw. Scary and Sniff were very fast. They were adaptable. They moved. As soon as something comes up, they just change quickly. They don't agonize about the challenges, as well as the benefits, as well as the demerits of taking a particular course of action. However, we have Hem and Haw. They were the little people. They were also as small as mice. And then but they took their time to analyze the merits, demerits, what would be the key success factors, and so all those things. So one day they all would wear every day they'll wear their canvas shoes, go out into the maze and be looking for cheese. It happened every single day, and now it came to a time that they realized that they got to a cheese station that had plenty cheese, and they enjoyed themselves. As they enjoyed themselves, and the cheese, one day they came back to that cheese station and realized that the cheese was all gone. Then Hem said, "Who moved my cheese? The cheese should be here. The cheese shouldn't move. Why should it move?" And so on and so forth. Meanwhile, Scary and Sniff had already realized that the cheese was getting finished. So at the time that when they came and saw the cheese had moved, all they did was they put on their running shoes again, and they started moving in the maze to find if there was any new source of cheese. Hem and Haw stayed there, didn't move anywhere, and kept complaining day in and day out. The cheese has gone. Where is it? And they didn't make any move. By God's grace, as we like to say in Ghana, Scary and Sniff found a new cheese station, which Spencer calls Station N. And they settled down to enjoy. But this time, they made sure that every now and then they'll sniff the cheese and see, where is the cheese? Is the cheese getting stale? Is there any movement in the cheese? As time went on, Hem decided, okay, in spite of the fact that he was afraid of the change that the movement of the cheese had brought, he would go out and look for new cheese. And therefore, he also set off in the maze. And after some time, he learned certain lessons, and those lessons I'll share with us as we go along. Finally, he came to a realization that indeed he had found some little bits and pieces of cheese. It was leading him to places, and finally he went to this new station, and that Scary and Sniff were enjoying, and so he settled down. But now he had adopted new methods. The new way, the things that he started realizing that he wrote is that change happens. So we need to always find how we can be sustainable, how we can be adapt, because change is not something that is, the world is not stationary, and at least this thing has shown us, if COVID has shown us anything, change will happen. And therefore, we need to find out what are the new things that we need to do. We must anticipate change and be ready for the change to move. And with those two lessons, I will stop here and keep you coming back for more, because there are more lessons that we need to carry out today. We have Edward Alan joining us from Accra Central. Accra Central, thank you, Alan, for being there. And then he says that Kofi Nkrumah, wow. And we have someone, it's a few, who is also watching live from Accra. And we have Ajay Emmanuel. You're watching from Fawade in Kumasi. And then Emmanuel, you're saying that you are joining us, Emmanuel Doche, you are joining us from Seshi Asonta. Oh, okay. It says that, Zaina, you did a great job. Pa. You didn't just say, yeah, you did a great job. You said great job. Pa. Yes, and then we have Theophilus Ansa watching live from Kumasi. Now, if you come across somebody whose page reads, whose about him reads, we can judge our progress by the courage of our questions and the depth of our answers, our willingness to embrace what is true rather than what feels good, by Carl Sagan. You know that he is one of the best people positioned to lead a discussion about sustainability and adaptability. We are honored this morning to have joining us via Zoom a gentleman who, after he was awarded a degree in geomatic engineering from KNUST, felt the urge to follow his passion rather than his degree. He switched careers and joined the media fraternity, like Zaina. He started his career as Sky Power and has always been interested in telling stories and holding authority accountable. He's now a senior broadcast journalist with the Multimedia Group. Daniel Dazi leads Ghana's conversations on Prime Morning on the Joy Prime TV, and he hosts and anchors the midday news on Joy News TV. He also hosts On the Record, which is a current affairs analysis show on Joy Prime. Indeed, Daniel won the 2018 RTP Award for the Radio Morning Host of the Year and won the enviable CIMG Radio Program of the Year when he was a Super Morning host on Joy 99.7 FM. I am privileged to introduce to us today Mr. Daniel Dazi, senior broadcast journalist from the Multimedia Group. Definitely, Daniel, you are welcome. Ajua Etuahene, who is joining from Tiwa in UCC, and then Mary A. Kwam. Yes, you says that Zaina, you have a great mind. And then you have Eric, who is watching us from Awoshi in Accra. You know, Daniel is just busting to talk to us about sustainability and adaptability. And if we join, okay, so if we want to ensure that we just adapt to this slight delay, I was talking about Spencer Duncan's book, Who Moved My Cheese. I know I have read him several times. He sold more than 26 million copies worldwide in 37 languages. And it's definitely one of the best-selling, isn't it? It's a business book. It's like a story. So I would encourage all our listeners today, do go and read it, because you would enjoy the lessons that you find there. Well, you know, as I said, change happens, anticipate change, monitor change. I tell you, there's a need for you, and that's one of the things that Zaina talked about, the need for you to look out what is happening in the world that we are in, to monitor that kind of change, because you would know what is going on. Recently, I think in 2017, the World Economic Forum released a forecast about the jobs that would be in the market and those who will be out of the market by the year 2025. One of those that they said was that definitely all jobs that are that have repetitive action, where somebody can easily take on, like let's say accounting. I see those who are going to ICA telling me that no way, yes, way, go and read that report, and you see the World Economic Forum, the future of jobs. That's the title of that article, the future of jobs. It tells you that indeed any job that is repetitive, any job that can easily be can be coded, is getting out of business by the year 2025. And definitely the COVID-19 virus has shown us that indeed it is possible, because now we've moved almost everything virtual, and those who have those virtual skills are those who are leading the change right now. So who are you? I have on the Zoom feed right now Mr. Daniel Dazi. Daniel, do take us away. We'll take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Are you a young person dealing with the disruptions caused by COVID-19 to our careers, education, health, and social lives? Welcome to the CoRe program, an e-learning, e-mentoring, and e-counseling program designed to equip you with diverse skills to enable you to thrive now and even beyond this pandemic. We encourage you to download the video, audio, and workbook for each episode for free on the CoRe program website, www.core.com.gh. If you're an MTN user in Ghana, you can download all videos, audios, or workbooks on our website without using your data. It's completely zero rated. And here's the bonus benefit: if you register on the website and go through a minimum of the 20 of the 24 sessions before the end of November, you will qualify for a certificate of completion from the CoRe program. We will be very excited to hear from you. Post your questions and comments on our social media pages at CoRe program, or send them to us on the CoRe WhatsApp hotline 0551 535 533. CoRe, learning together, growing together.
It's your turn to be wow! Join our CoRe Wow Challenge. All you have to do is to post a video of yourself and share your best experience so far on the eLead conference. And you could be the lucky winner of some amazing prizes. Use the hashtag CoReLead. The video with the highest shares and likes across any social media platforms wins. So what are you waiting for? Share your video now. Deadline for this contest is on the 24th of November 2020. Winner will be announced on our final CoRe eLead conference in November.
You there, you're so dear, priceless. You there, you're so dear, priceless. I was once on the other side, know the void you feel inside. That's why I beckon you. Come the void you feel, I know it's real. Voices that promise you thrill, but leaves you flat. Be it your socialization, I believe it's really worth knowing that Jesus Jesus is life. Remove blockades, what the world says to be sane. It's illusions, my brother, my sister, I tell ya. The void you feel, I know it's real. Voices promise you thrill, but leaves you flat. The void you feel, I know it's real. Voices promise you thrill, but leaves you flat. In his word he says he will lead your way by his power and grace. You will never fail. In his word he says he will lead your way by his power and grace. You will never fail. Do's and don'ts, that's not the status quo. His love unfolds, yearning for your soul. Forgive us how we come calling. If you feel just sorry, but it's never their intention. You're deserving of a better life, right here and after. And Jesus gives that. Oh, we're not without fault. Christ in us, he makes the difference. He deems us righteous. We're not without faults. Christ in us, he makes the difference. He deems us righteous. Oh, the void you feel, I know it's real. Voices promise you thrill, but leaves you flat. The void you feel, I know it's real. Voices promise you thrill, but leaves you flat.
Yes, indeed, that you will be someone that people will look up to. I am really privileged today to be introducing Daniel. Daniel Dazi is a senior broadcast journalist of the multimedia broadcast communications. Daniel, great to have you today. Daniel. Right. Daniel, I'll have to find you. As a friend of mine, I'll really have to find you for having some technical issues, but it's fine. We have Ajua Tuahene who says that, Kofi, you have an amazing voice. Thank you so much, Kofi. And then we have a Frifa Amankwa who is watching from Ashanti region inside Intima in Kwabiaja South. Wow. And Theophilus, you say that we must intend to learn and not just intend to earn. I like that. Intend to learn, not intend to earn. This is a message to all service personnel, and indeed you are right. Service personnel are a key part of the CoRe program. The CoRe program, as I indicated earlier, is an initiative of the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with Solidaridad and the MasterCard Foundation. These new skills that you learn as national service people, it's not just what you learned in the lecture halls, but what you learn on the job, and that helps you as you grow in your work in the workplace. Right. So now I believe Daniel is ready. So without further ado, shall we welcome Daniel to the program? Okay, fantastic. I understand that Daniel definitely is still facing some issues, and therefore, unfortunately, those who were really looking forward to Daniel, who knows, maybe he might join us later in the program. So now we are moving Accra. We've left Accra completely. We've left Accra. Okay, so we are going
all the way to Kenya. And we are privileged to have joining us all the way from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, is Gifty Bingley. She is an experienced communications leader with 18 years experience in telecommunications, government, and broadcast media organizations. Gifty is known for her ability to inject intensity, passion, and energy into every single project. Gifty has a range of leadership proficiencies and is energized by the ever-growing, ever-evolving communications landscape in our world. She is currently working with the African Union as a senior communications officer. Gifty, we have crossed many paths on Facebook. Today we are live in the world of Zoom. Most welcome to the CoRe conference.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to be on the platform. Absolutely great work. Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here.
Please, we are yours, all yours for the next 18 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to start my conversation by, this whole topic is about adaptability and sustainability. So I'm going to start my conversation about, COVID and the changes that COVID has brought, and personally for me as well, the experiences I've been through with COVID. So when COVID started around March, everybody was running to go home, to go back to their country and spend time with their family and loved ones and everything. When COVID started, I was making my way to Somalia, Mogadishu, because the African Union, we have troops there. We have over 18,000 soldiers that are currently fighting the insurgency. And a COVID task force had been formed.
And a great day is today. Today the internet is making, I've become very wary of the topics that we choose in this world, and in this what do you call it, CoRe program, because the day that we talked about dealing with tough times, that day we had a tough time here in the studio. Today we are talking about adaptability, and here we are having to adapt with the difficulties or challenges that the internet sometimes poses to us in our quest to bring speakers from all over the world. Well, yes, we are privileged to be here. And Gifty was really sharing something interesting about how when COVID struck, she was on her way out when others were bunkering down. And I know I bunkered down. Before, actually, Zaina, do you know, before the president said, okay, let's shut down, 2 weeks before, this office had shut down. Yeah, when we had just about 2 or 3 cases in Ghana, we shut down completely. And
you
that was
early.
I don't think, okay, this adaptation was driven more than fear than by, by actual circumstances, by actual happenings. Okay, so let's continue with the what do you call it, the learnings that I took from Who Moved My Cheese. I talked about change happening. I talked about anticipating change. I talked about monitoring change. Smell the cheese often so you know when it's going old. The fourth thing is that adapt quickly to change. Because if we don't adapt quickly to change, we would realize that those who adapt quickly are able to get on what we call the first mover advantage. Those who don't, yes, they may catch up, but they may not get the width of what do you call it, the market as they may have. So that's why you remember when I spoke earlier about when Zainab in her presentation, and then somebody else talked about the need for us to learn. We go. We are privileged to have Gifty back on the scene, but her video may be off, and therefore let's do with listening, because her story is very interesting. I don't want to continue without her story. So Gifty, we are all yours. All yours.
Okay.
All yours.
So essentially, I had to go into, I was in Mogadishu, we had set up a COVID task force, which was managing different elements of the COVID pandemic. This included, the policy changes that were immediately needed to be put in place because of COVID, the different logistics that needed to be put in place. There was the medical cluster that was managing COVID. There was the communication cluster that was managing all the information and everything else related to COVID. So, and I'm a head of units, right? So head of department. So there was no way I could go home. Prior to that, I'd moved, my kids, family, everybody had been in Ghana. I spent most of my time in Nairobi and then travel on to Mogadishu. So it's, everything was everywhere that it could possibly be. And this is me leading a communication cluster for a pandemic that beats everything we know about, even crisis communication plan, because your typical crisis communication plan is based on scenarios and there are always options, but COVID was such that really there were no options. So I went immediately into work mode, working directly with the medical cluster in terms of ensuring that all our soldiers across all the regions in Somalia are able to get access to all the information that they need about COVID. So all the posters, the leaflets, the radio announcements, the TV announcements, all the engagements that needed to be done. So my first few sort of 3 weeks, 4 weeks of COVID with, the lockdown across borders was quite interesting because I was neck deep into it. And then because I was also a lot more exposed to information about COVID, I started having these panic attacks. So this is someone who's assuring people communication-wise that you're absolutely fine. We've got this under control. AU will take care of you. Our mission, is in a great spot and we're all working through this. And at the same time, I had panic attacks. So for me, one of the things that I did was, because again, I was very close to the medical cluster, I spoke to a medical planning officer and I started psychosocial counseling. So I would join the UN team, I would join the group session, and I would do the individual session as well, because it had gotten to a point where every time you put on the news or you go on Facebook or you go anywhere, all you see is the COVID statistics and it's always climbing high. And I was worried about home, I was worried about myself, I was worried about everything going on. Again, when COVID happened, I have 2 nannies who take care of my kids. One is a live-in, one is a live-out. The live-out, because of COVID and the internal closures within cities, and Accra went into lockdown in some mode or something, so she couldn't even show up anymore. So I was left with one. That got me thinking, it got me frantic, it got me worried, and all that. So COVID, has been quite a tough experience for me. Eventually, sometime in May, I made my way out of Mogadishu and then I came into Nairobi. And it was required that I do 14-day quarantine. So I actually went into quarantine in a hotel where 2 hours every day we're allowed to go out to the pool area to see the sun. And then after that, we come back in. So, and my hotel room did not have an open window. Most hotel rooms these days don't have. So I did 14 days quarantine. I was cleared. I came back to my apartment in Nairobi. Still borders were shut, but I was able to get on a UN flight from Mogadishu to Nairobi. So I decided I'm not going to sit around and wait anymore. I need to be home with my family. I need to see how my kids are doing, how everybody's doing. So I got on a UN flight again. And this time there was, Nairobi was not a hub. The hub was in Addis. So I couldn't fly directly from Nairobi to Accra. So I had to transit from Nairobi to Addis. And in Addis, there was a transit of 4 days. So again, I went into quarantine for 4 days. And then I eventually made my way to Accra. And when we landed in Accra, as soon as we landed at Kotoka International Airport, we had seats and everything waiting for us. There was a bus waiting on the tarmac. Again, we were whisked away again into quarantine. So, COVID has really been an emotional roller coaster for me. I'm someone who is very easy to change and very adaptable to change. I don't struggle with change. But the whole COVID experience within the period, working very far away from home, more than enough flights away from home. So I wasn't just one flight away from home. That was tough and challenging. Again, also, just before COVID happened, I've been in my role for about 2 years now, and I'm a pure comms professional. But I work in the peace and security support operations. So one of the things I decided to do was I thought to myself, I wanted to do another, program or course that would give me the opportunity to understand, war and peace and terror and all those and how it works. So again, when COVID happened, one of the craziest things again I did, someone who tries to multitask, was I signed up for the SOAS Master's Program on Global Security and Management. So this is the School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London. So while I was going through this whole emotional roller coaster, struggling to find myself, at the same time, my work was at an all-time peak. I had also started to learn, and all that combined, it emotionally, it was very tough. It was very difficult. But eventually I made my way back to Accra and I started working from home. And then as soon as the borders opened in Ghana on 1st September, again, because COVID is not over. And even while I was at home, there was a lot of work and a lot of activities that I still had to do. And some of them required me doing in person. So the week after the border was opened, I was on the next flight and came to Nairobi. I've been to Mogadishu. I've been back in Nairobi. I'm traveling again tomorrow. So it's been, COVID it's not been an easy experience. It's not been a textbook experience. It's not been anything that any of us would know or any of us would have predicted with. But in change and in adaptability and sustainability, I find that it is helpful when we talk to people. Basically, we have fears, right? So if this went wrong, what's the worst thing that could happen to me? I could get COVID and I could probably die. But if I did survive all that, what's the best thing that could happen to me out of all this? I would have gained the experience. This beats any crisis mode textbook. I would have spent my time, trying to improve my knowledge and experiences in terms of security operations and the rest. So I would have done some courses. At the same time, I would have had some hands-on experience, and all these things go to make me a better person. So instead of focusing on our fears, it's important that we try to hope. For my psychosocial counseling, one of the things that the counselor and I used to do is to look at, what are the things that I like most. First of all, it was about identifying why I feel the way I feel, which was the fact that if you cut down on your exposure to all the news and COVID statistics and everything, will that help? And there, my feedback was, well, I'm the one who's leading on comms, right? So part of my work involved daily reports. So we have what we call troop contributing countries for all the soldiers around us. I would look for information or statistics on how the COVID numbers are in all these different troop contributing countries. I would look for COVID numbers on Mogadishu, where we are, Somalia, what is it? I would look for COVID numbers on what are other partners and other collaborators doing on COVID. How are other borders going to open? Are there any announcements on that? So it was a whole bunch of information that on a daily basis, I would sift through with my team and we would go through, and these were information that was necessary to be able to provide it for both leadership, for staff, for our soldiers, for our police officers, for everybody, to keep everybody informed. Because with COVID, everybody needs that up-to-date information. So one of the things that I did was, for instance, to delegate a lot more, because my own exposure to it risked my own mental health. Also, what are the things that calm me down? So for instance, through COVID, one of the things I've been able to do now is I actually sleep at night with soft music, very soft, or there are a bunch of videos on YouTube called affirmation videos. So these are like, you would hear like water droplets or something of that sort, and you'd hear somebody talking calmly, reassuringly. So I downloaded a bunch of those stuff, put it on my iPad, and then deliberately get ready for bed at night. So I'll take my bath, do everything, and then put that on and play that, before I put my lights off and lay in bed trying to fall asleep. And I wake up a lot more better because my thoughts and everything is in a positive position. So I found that these things were really, really helpful. So I think with all situations, in terms of adaptability and sustainability, we need to ensure that our mental state is in the right position, because your mental health is really, really important. And you could take it for granted, but if today, you know, I remember there was a day that I actually went out to my office in Mogadishu, and I went out with a mask and gloves and everything. I mean, doors that people had touched, I wouldn't step out without hand sanitizer spray. So I'd spray the door handle even while I'm wearing gloves before I'll touch it. So it's been difficult. It's been tough. We need to face it. We need to have more conversations about it. And we need to find ways that people can deal with it. So this program is actually a brilliant one, where people can share their fears, their anxieties, the things that have happened to them, the things they're worried about, the things they're concerned about is important. But I'm not new to change and sustainability. So for a few of you who know me, I started my career actually as a journalist. I worked for nearly 11 years in journalism. I'd done a bit of radio, and then I moved on to TV. Within that, I went to graduate school. And even before I finished graduate school, I started applying for jobs. And I wanted to do something else, you know, other than journalism. Journalism was brilliant, but I'd gone to school to study communications, and I was looking for the opportunity to practice it. But even before my graduation, I'd started applying for jobs and for roles. It took me 2 years. And I kid you not, this is someone who is on TV. You think because I have a wider network, you think because I have connections everywhere, doors would just open like that for me. No, it didn't. I had to write uncountable applications, including roles that I was even more than qualified for, to be able to eventually get into a comms role. And when I got into a comms role, again, I've always thought that to be great or to ensure sustainability, while you're doing what you're doing now, you need to think about the next steps. So from here, where do I want to be? It's okay if that's where you want to stay and if that's what you want to do. It's also, as long as it's what you want. And it's okay also if you want to move on and if you want a bit of change and you wanted to try other things. That's also okay. For the kind of personality that I am, which I've come to understand, again, through these series of management programs. I easily get bored. I like being active. I enjoy new challenges. I enjoy bigger goals. I enjoy demolishing goals, you know. So I have that kind of personality. So while I was when I started my first comms role, which was with the British High Commission, I took up, again, you know, some other training programs. So how can I prepare myself to be the best PR professional, right? I've done journalism for 11 years now. I've just started this PR career. I'm just about a few months into it. I want to be great. If you talk about PR professionals in Ghana, I want to be there. I want to be among the top. How do I get that? Part of it is to be able to network with people within the PR field and be able to learn from them. Part of it is to be able to job shadow other PR professionals and understand what they do. The other part of it, which also makes all of these different things I've spoken about, it encompasses all of them, is to actually find some training program, because some of the training programs will give you hands-on experience. You build the network, you build the friends, you understand the theoretical underpinnings of what you're doing. You get different perspectives of different situations, different scenarios, different campaigns, and how it's been run. So I signed up again for the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, London. And within that, I had good classmates, great friends, great lecturers that I could learn from beyond all the classroom different experiences. I traveled to South Africa to go and understudy, you know, our comms head in Joburg, essentially what he was doing with comms. We'd have comms professionals fly into Accra, Ghana, and we'd be able to work on campaigns together. So I'd ask a lot of questions. I'd ask for help with a lot of things, and I'd try to understand the processes by which people are doing what they're doing to be able to do that. So again, you know, that is helpful. And I find that for a lot of young people, it's brilliant to have the job, but while you have the job, you know, even for yourself, you need to find ways to keep motivating yourself. You need, I always say it, that our forward look and our development is always up to us. You could have a brilliant boss, and I've always had brilliant bosses, fantastic bosses, you know. I'd go to anything I want, they do for me. For instance, that CIPR course I spoke to you about, it was all paid for. I didn't spend a dime. It was paid for by the organization I worked with. It was in excess of thousands of pounds. So you'd have all those, but you need to own it for people to support you. And you'd be able to find that right support as you go along. Then I moved on, you know, after a couple of years, I said, oh, because the British High Commission was more of a policy comms and it wasn't a lot more fun. So I thought, I want to do something more fun. And at the time, telcos were doing a lot of fun stuff. So joined Vodafone, all the fun campaigns, fun engagements, moved on, joined Tigo, did all the fun stuff, fun campaigns, serious stuff again, then emerged into Airtel Tigo. Again, this is the other thing I've noticed with change. It comes in two ways. Is either you are driving the change or the change is coming to you and you're forced to adapt. So COVID has come to us, we're forced to adapt. If you went to look for employment somewhere, you are the one driving the change because you're the one going into the organization. So you're better prepared than when it's thrust on you. So again, Airtel Tigo happened. We were working through merger, the different things that need to happen. And I kept, you know, thinking to myself, what do I want my future to be? Been here a couple of years.
So I know, Gifty will be right back. But so I've been thinking about that as well in your homes or wherever you are. Which are you? Are you the person who brings the change about, or you're the person that the change always happens to you? And if in that case, which is better? I think I have a leaning towards one, and I'll find out from Zaina and Kofi as well. Which one is better? She's back right now, so let's continue listening to Gifty.
Yes, so I'm against you. Right? So changes, sometimes actually you can't help it. It will happen to you because the change is good for the greater organization or for the greater good, or the change is bad for the entire world, which COVID has showed us. So you don't have change. You're not the one driving it. If you're driving it, you're better prepared. Now, if I'd been in a position where I was driving it, you know, I'd be better prepared because you put together your documents, you think about it, you'll be able to plan. I probably would have been home before COVID would have happened if I was driving it, because I've got 2 young boys who were under the age of 1. And I'm nowhere near them. So I would have done that, but this is change being brought again. So that also makes it very difficult. So it happens in both ways. There are times we can control, there are times we can't control. But whenever change happens to you, it's important for you to be able to adapt. Instead of feeding into your fears, find hope in all this mess that has happened. What's that one thing that when this is over tomorrow, I want to have and say that this is the one thing I got out of it? Is it an online course? Is it starting my own YouTube channel? Is it starting my own small entrepreneurship business? Is it, you know, based on where I am and what I have, what can I do with what I have and where I am now? So those things are very important. And for a lot of young people, I say it enough, you own your CV, you own your career, you own your job. Our parents will pay for us to go to school. It's tough when you finish school and there's no job around for you to find. Out of there being no job around, what can you do best? And I will say that, for instance, for my transition into communications, if I didn't, I'm not saying having a degree or a certificate is important, but sometimes you've got to be able to prepare so that when the opportunity comes, you will be best suited, or you can put your best foot forward instead of rather sitting and waiting for the opportunity to come to you. So for a lot of young people as well, what I'm trying to say is, it's tough, it's difficult. There are no jobs on the market. There are very limited opportunities. What can you do in the interim? Is it volunteering so that your CV is not just a half page, but you'd be able to write a lot more details on the different things you volunteered on? Is it the opportunity to identify someone to support so that you can own something of yours? Is it the opportunity to even start a small business while you're waiting for this to happen? There are opportunities out there. They're very limited because unfortunately that's the kind of world we live in, but it is not impossible. And whenever you've adapted to change, please think about the next steps after the change, because that is where you will find that sustainability. If by the time COVID goes away, that is, if it ever goes away, I'm hoping that I've gained some knowledge on, managing crisis for weeks on end in a completely different setting under lockdown conditions, under border closure conditions. So that's experience that makes me even better than what I am now. By the time COVID ends, I would have also been able to understand the theoretical underpinnings of war, peacekeeping operations, peace support operations, because I signed up for school within this COVID. And I'm reading a lot of books, I'm submitting a lot of term assignments and the rest, which are all challenging me. By the time COVID has happened, I'm in a better place to manage my mental health, because now I know better how to lift my own spirit, how to lift my own mood, how to engage myself. And within this COVID period also, after my psychosocial counseling, I sleep a lot more better than even when there was no COVID, because I found a routine that works for me, which is in terms of being able to listen to soft music or listening to affirmations and to be able to go to bed at night. And, my psychological, my subconsciousness is still active and is still working. So I wake up not tired and stressed as I am. So instead of us being stressed out from stressing situations, you rather find better ways to manage. So that's essentially a summary of my story. There are a lot more other details that maybe we can talk about another time. But I also know that Daniel wanted to come in. So I will pause here, and I'm happy to take any questions, or if there's the opportunity to keep talking about different situations, different scenarios, the different work experiences I've had, working with young people, managing young people, driving change in the organization, leading change in the organization. I'm happy to talk through all these things. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zaina. Gifty. That was very, very insightful. Part of what I learned from you is that indeed, and for most of us, COVID has been tough on us. It's been an emotional roller coaster. And then it's very helpful when we talk to people. And, talking about that, part of the CoRe program has 3 legs. We have the learning leg, we have the counseling leg, and we have the mentoring leg. The counseling leg is where we have a partnership with the Ghana Psychological Association, and they provide counseling to beneficiaries of the program. And I know, based on being part of the counseling sessions, how they have been helped. The individual beneficiaries between the ages of 18 to 35 who have gone through the counseling part of the program have testified, sent us messages about how it's been important. The counseling takes place 3 times in a week, and therefore if you are on the Zoom or the Facebook feed right now and you haven't been part of our counseling program, I would encourage you, do send the word counseling to 055 153 5533. 055 153 5533. We would join you to one of the counseling groups, and you would be amazed how much you look forward to the future post-COVID. Additionally, you also talked about mentoring. You talked about shadowing people in their workplace, Gifty. And we also have the mentoring part. The mentoring, we have about 80 trade areas, including journalism. We have the HR and admin. We have agribusiness. We have animal husbandry, and so on and so forth. Over 80 professional areas that people who are part of the CoRe program can have mentorship. And those who are active in those mentoring groups, they are learning so much.
If you want to find out how you can be part of the mentoring as well, my ladies and gentlemen, join us on Zoom as well as Facebook. Again, send the word mentoring to 055-153-5533 or go to our website www.core.com.gh, core as in CORE.com.gh, and you find the counseling link or the mentoring link or the e-learning episodes that are there. The e-learning episodes today, this week, we are blessed to have in studio with us. We have Susan Yemedi. She's a country representative of Solidaridad, and she's talking this week about the importance of networks and relationships. My friend, again, Gifty talked about the importance of networks and relationships in her presentation. And then what we talked about the next steps what are the next steps that you have to do following the change that has come on your way. And so Gifty, that was very, very impactful and very, very insightful. You know, we are today talking about sustainability and adaptability, or adaptability and sustainability. And we had some beautiful music before and during the program. And you would think that Kofi has not had any issues this year. You know, the year has been really great. And so he can come and sit here and just strum the music and make us all happy. But I know you have a story as well.
Yeah.
So Kofi, tell me about your story.
Sure. All right. So obviously when we went on lockdown, I teach besides writing music. Somewhere June, I got a letter, telling me my contracts wouldn't be renewed the next month. And for me, I mean, one of the things that took me off guard in a sense was, okay, I wasn't expecting this. And again, my time with the children, that's what I'm going to miss. It was quite disappointing, but again, like knowing what I'm living for shielded me. So even though I'm a teacher, I like to let people understand I'm a singer and a songwriter. To say it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I'm a doctor. I mean, it's good, but who does the music if everyone wants to be a doctor? It's like, it's as though when you do certain things, some level of significance isn't attached. Like, oh, he does music, but even though I'm a musician, I do teach. Now, even in relation to the topic, thankfully, because of recommendations, now that almost every school has shut down, you have more people calling you to come and teach their children at home. And I even realized I'm actually teaching more children compared to just being stationed in the school.
Okay.
And I'm looking at it, okay, I'm able to go around and teach and still do my music. So probably I'm just considering not going to teach in school again, but focus on homeschooling, because it enables me to be efficient either ways, like whether I'm doing music or teaching, Yeah. So
Fantastic. Fantastic. It tells us that indeed we can't be just unilateral or unifocused.
Not at all.
Ideally, the more options you
Yeah.
have, the better you are
Yeah.
in adapting
Yeah.
to whatever change may be
Yeah.
thrown your way. And in case you are wondering, we have Mary A. Kwam saying that, go Kofi, God
Thank you.
bless you. And
Thank you, Mary Kwam.
Ajua Ituahene says that you have such an amazing
Thank
voice.
you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you
indeed.
so much.
And Akwesi Sapon, you are saying that good morning, you are repping CoRe, Breezy. And then we have Francis Kuma, who is listening from Kumasi or watching from Kumasi. And we have Charles Granton Bwedu, you are also watching from Sunyani, Bono region. And Titus, you are from Seshui Nsempaye. And you are saying good morning. We have people, you are there and you are sending us your messages, and we are very grateful. And now it's time for the conversation for us to ask our questions as well. So if you have any questions to either Gifty or Zaina, or even Kofi, if you want to find out what's the best way to which best website to learn music or anything, do ask us the questions and we'll definitely bring you the answers. And then we have Emmanuel Dochi, who says that, whoa, I learned a lot from Gifty. Change is really good, pa. I like that. I really, really like that. CoRe is about letting us see that change is part of your life. And once we are ready to embrace change, and we have the tools that will enable us break those changes, and most importantly, know how to sustain the change that we go through, we are able to live up to the world. So he says that NB, this is Emmanuel still speaking, if you fear to change your dwelling place, your vision will not come to pass. Amen, brother. And Precious Dogbacha, you say that you are watching from Nkonya Bumbula. Nkonya Bumbula. Oh, you say you love Zaina's presentation. She's a role model for great women. Wonderful. And Precious, you continue by saying that COVID brought a lot of fear in us. Me included, bro. Sister, it's not only you. Most especially those exposed to a lot of individuals. And so you are asking the question, and I think I would ask Gifty to because Gifty, you're exposed to a lot of individuals based on where you work and how you have to move up and down. How would one manage fear and adaptability? You touched a bit on that, but please, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? How would one manage fear and adaptability, Gifty?
So I spoke about how personally I had to go for psychosocial counseling. Literally, I had to join groups, and then I had to do it on an individual basis. And part of the reason is also because I have an autoimmune condition. So when COVID it was being said that people with pre-diagnosed conditions could, exposure could kill them, blah, blah, blah. Literally, that was my fear, that I'm active, but I have an autoimmune condition that I need to ensure that my physical, mental health is in top spot, because if it happened to me, I probably wouldn't be able to survive. And COVID is such that if you get it, you don't even know if you're going to survive or not. So all that fed into my own fear. And this was also a situation where I was actually leading a communication cluster, which involved meeting with our civic military officers, because they are the ones who put information out there, meeting with different stakeholders. Everybody would come to me because I'm at the central point of it. So I had my own fears. So part of my own way of dealing with it was getting help through the group session and then through the one-on-one counseling. And through that as well, the counselors they helped me to flip the script and think of the alternative. Right? So my fear is that I could die and that could be the end of it. What if you survive? How can you deal with this as change? Why are you afraid? Is it because you're exposed to the news about COVID? Is it because you're anxious about your own health? Why not wear a mask? Why not sanitize your hand? Why not, for every time you come in or every time, follow the basic COVID protocols and the rest? So in terms of managing our fears, it cuts across. In my situation, I had different reasons why I was afraid. And I got the right support based on how I was feeling to be able to turn things around. So, and even within that, I did 3 flights, when the world had cut down and nobody was flying. And I got into flights, I got into airports, pushing my suitcase around. So it is tough, but we need to find ways of dealing with it. And part of the ways of dealing with it is talking to the experts and the people who can help us deal with it, because they are more trained to help us understand why we're feeling the way we're feeling and how can they tackle the bottom root of how we're feeling about, whatever we're going through.
Excellent. The professionals, join the professionals, and they can help you tackle the deep roots about what you're going through. And so, once again, join our counseling program. Go to the website, core.com.gh, or send a message to our hotline, 055-153-55 33. Right. So, Zaina, you were supposed to be in Harvard in person. Right now, but personally, I don't like Harvard anyway. Not the school, but the weather.
The weather.
Yes.
Boston.
Boston. Yes, I don't like Boston. It's too cold. So I mean, so you are supposed to be there, but right now you are here in hot Ghana, even though it's getting cold there.
Yeah.
How has it been different for you? I mean, how have you adapted to the change of not having in-person meetings or in-person access to your teachers, to your course mates and so on and so forth? How different has it been for you?
Very challenging.
Very challenging.
Very challenging. And not just for me, you know, I've spoken with colleagues and professors. We're all going through the same thing. And that's really the only thing that's like holding us up, is the fact that we're all going through this together. This is the first time this has ever happened in the history of the university, over 100 years old. And so what, you know, what we've had to do is kind of just rely on each other to get through it. But again, this is all just a part of the process, and the way that you become better at anything is by recognizing that things are not always going to go as planned. And let me tell you, in my life, all of my adult life, none of the plans that I set for myself came to fruition. None of it.
Oh, no.
But it came out better. And I loved what Kofi was talking about earlier when he said that, you know, he lost his job as a teacher, but that turned into a blessing, because now he's teaching more students individually, homeschooling. And so sometimes, you know, a lot of these setbacks are blessings in disguise, and you won't realize it in the moment. But as time passes, you look back and you realize all of the dots have connected in the end. And so I don't understand why this is happening now. But I think all of us in a year, 5 years, will recognize and understand why this is happening to us.
Because
so we
we'll all be in a better place.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Because we'll all be in a better place. And Robert Burns says that the best laid plans often go awry, and that's to your session. Let me find out from you, Kofi. We have one of the things that I learned from Gifty was the fact that when you have adapted to change, in order to become sustainable, you must look at what are the next steps after that adaptation. Have you thought of what your next steps would be? Are you going to find some course to pursue? What will be your next steps following your adaptation to the change that you faced?
Well, for me personally, like, I believe every experience brings an opportunity for us to learn, you know, and like Zaina was saying earlier, what we are now is what we're doing some 5 years ago, you know. And so basically, from books I've read, like, I have an understanding of what I want to do in this life. I have an understanding of my purpose, which is to make people understand, you know, how important they are to God, you know. And so it gives me that room of not being limited to, like I was saying earlier, just music or teaching. So every avenue I have to let this purpose come through, I just take the opportunity. So it's not necessarily about being static with just these two. I mean, for instance, I came to sing and I have the opportunity to come and talk. So I take that opportunity, you know, to let someone understand that, look, yes, we're all in Ghana. We've been through national service at a point where we're looking forward to the next job, till you come to a point where you realize, no, I don't need to have a job. Maybe they need to have me. Like, understand your value. You know, if you understand, do I need to be employed? Can't I start something? It's not just motivational speaking. Like, understand who you are, and it makes it easy. Other than that, you're just going to get in the pattern and you're off this, you're onto this, you're off this, without, you know, living a life of fulfillment. So understanding this is like, oh, already, even COVID has come to highlight that I need to stick to what I believe in, you know. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so then for me, the key thing, what you said was that knowing yourself
and finding out what are those key things, what are those aspects of the change that you have to go through, what are the aspects of the change that you need to amend or change the way you are doing things. But I don't want to use the word to change, that's why. Amend how you are doing things, whether you would go back to the old ways or whether you would continue in another way. Gifty, Yuji Aheto has a question for you, and he's saying, I appreciate how we are being encouraged to embrace and sustain change. My question is, how do we do this effectively when we are among people who are determined to ignore the change, just like those who don't like the COVID-19 protocols? How do we do this effectively when we are among people who are determined not to or ignore the change? To ignore, yeah, that's Kekeli's Aheto. Kekeli is listening to us via Facebook.
I think change in itself is difficult. There's no doubt about that. But and we live in a society where we don't function on our own. So I could put on a mask and you could decide not to put on a mask and you could touch my door handle and I could get COVID, right? It's the same in professional environments and the rest where change happens. Some people go with it, some people get upset with it, some people will mobilize and resist change. But I think also on an individual basis, if we are able to look through this change and think through it in terms of where are we and what can we do, right? I'll give you an example. I've been through a work situation where change is happening. Essentially, we're merging. I had my own fears. I had my own concerns. I was very worried about my own job security and my own job safety. But at the same time, I had people working in my team who were also equally worried. And part of that was to be able to find some of them who we could have conversations in a positive way, right, about the change that was happening to us and all our insecurities and the things we were afraid of. And it was easy talking that way because if you end up talking to the people who are resistant to change, they feed more into your fears and they feed more into your mental psyche, and it tends to affect you. But if change is such that you can't do anything about it and you need to go along with it. So in all this mess, what can I get out of this mess? In all this mess that's going on, how can I reposition myself? How can I recalibrate myself? So find some of the people who are open to change and are doing the right thing, and you'll find that positively you're able to encourage each other and you're able to have a more forward look because you're able to talk it through, and ideas are also not in one person's head. You're able to brainstorm through, so that works. And then the people who are resistant to change and don't want to, if you as a person decide to go along with them, they end up feeding into your fears, they end up feeding into your psyche. You wake up every morning, even though you've just gone to bed, you wake up more stressed than when you went to bed at night. So one of the things I will say is, one of the definite solution is, you are the change, right? A lot of people are the change, but you are the change. You control how you feel. You control your own destiny. You control your own life. You execute your life. So essentially, be in the driving position and drive towards people who are open to the change and can help and encourage you go along that path rather than focusing on the people who are resistant to change.
I would like to, Dana, do you have anything to contribute to this question that Kekeli asked in terms of that? How do we do this effectively when you're among people who are determined not to change?
Well, there comes a point in life where you have to decide who you want to be around your circle. You simply cannot go certain places when there are people who are holding you back, and that is going to happen. Trust me.
I like that.
Sometimes it's family and sometimes it's friends who just don't have your best interests in mind. So you want to be mindful of that. You want to make sure that you align yourself with people who have similar goals as you and who is going to help elevate you and not bring you down, okay? And I also just want to very quickly talk about what Gifty said during her presentation. She said something I'll never forget. She said, you either be the change or the change is going to be you. Yeah. And that really spoke to me, you know, because I was working for one of the top media organizations in the world. But I just wasn't happy. And I noticed that toward the end, I was just being, you know, your managers, and believe it or not, they have their own lives and careers to manage. And so if you're not in control of what you want to do with your life, unfortunately, you know, so I made the decision to move to Ghana, which was one of the best things that I could have ever done, you know.
It's always good to be here.
Oh, it's incredible, you know, and there is not a doubt in my mind. I would not have gotten into Harvard if I didn't move here, you know. You really have to take your life by the horns, and you have to be the one driving in the seat of the car of your life. Because if you let someone else do it, they're going to drive you any which way.
If you let someone else do it, they'll drive you any which way. And that is so true. Because your life is your life. Whether you are Kweku or you are Kekeli or you are, who else? Mariam, who is watching us today from Tamale. It's your life. It's nobody else's. So you must be in charge of leading how the changes in your life would be, so that you would achieve the goals that you set for yourself. Indeed, I mean, honestly, this conversation is so great. Do you have anything to add on to that, Kofi?
Well, just to add to what she said,
yeah.
You know, environment plays a key role. You know, understanding that there are people who genuinely, they might not see themselves to be oppressing you, like towards moving to change. Now, you need to understand that you're a pace setter. For, you know, there's a reason you are amongst them. You have to be that change to even make them realize, oh, I have to change. You know, so even as a balance, as you get like-minded people, you understand that your life is beyond you. You know, basically, it's like your fulfillment really is the extension of your life, and how it leads others to also be the change agent. So basically, like, go on regardless and do what you need to do, you know, to affect your world. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thank you that you would be this thing. You know, the conversation is getting so interesting, but that is where sometimes, unfortunately, it also comes to an end. Oh, I mean, I can't believe it. And I have some comments from you, but because of time, please forgive us. You can answer those questions. I believe Zaina wouldn't mind going on our feed to answer those questions and throwing it out. So, Kofi, can you give us your closing comments? And I would really, I know you've learned something from this conversation. Oh, okay. So I would really ask you right after, Gifty is going to give us a quick comment, but I would really love you to use a Ghanaian language of your choice to sum up your learnings from today's session. Okay, so Gifty, I understand that you have your hands up. Could you please ask your question, or could you give your comments?
Zainab and Kofi said, in that change, flexibility is very important, right? From the beginning of the year, you had this whole plan of what you are going to do, what you had budgeted for, what your personal goals were, what your ambition were. COVID happened, and a lot of things have changed. Are you being flexible to look for other ways to be able to achieve the results that you desire? Or you are, again, if you're not flexible, that also has implications for what you do. So between change, adaptability, sustainability, underlining is flexibility. You need to be flexible, because there are several ways, as the idiom says, to kill a cat. One is to get it physically, one is to get it virtually, one is to get it by telephone, one is to get it different ways. One of the things that I have had to do, which from the beginning of the year I was unable to do because I'm a head of unit, so I've got a huge budget to spend, is when COVID happened, part of my activities, 80% of it is outreach. So when COVID happened, border closure, lockdown, COVID, social distancing, everything, I've had to rethink and rework and be flexible to find other ways of working and making it work, rather than sitting down and saying that, well, COVID happened, so we couldn't implement A, B, C, Y, D, or we couldn't do X, Y, Z. So flexibility is important. Just a quick one I wanted to add.
Directly speaks to Regina Abaya's question that she had. She said, thank you for this opportunity to learn about change. My question is that, does change necessarily mean changing your goals in life? For instance, someone would like to go into book writing, but such a person is told the world is becoming more advanced every day, especially in the area of technology. So such a person is compelled to go into IT, coding, etc., because that's where the world is almost heading. And you can see Regina immediately from Gifty's words that flexibility is part of what you need. So yes, even though you want to do book writing, adding that IT aspect would make you even more relevant going forward. I like that. Thank you, Regina. Thank you also, Gifty, for that that point in time. So, Kofi, as we wrap up, what would you say in any Ghanaian language of your choice about what we talked about today and how people can adapt to change?
Sure. Okay. And the issue they say I was say offer ayonkwa omojin koenim o chika se me kase otefa kwa ate wa de so. I was also otia say wabrabo no ekokoboa enya wope obusiafo na afofo omani na even beyond Africa. Nti I was say oye ho say bia adesua bi na was say usua suani yi adimpo na wo ton a ton yi ne sua new strategies are obetimi dia ye na nkoye say ebia obi na eye o, but yes unsua new ways of doing things. Nti the mechanic say ya yonko fem no yen fa omo modwin ko enim yen sua de so na emboa yen ene omo ye environment mu. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was really well done. Thank you. And somebody will wonder why did I mean, those who are on the call program, they know, but those who don't know, if you know, as you say, if you know, you know. If you don't know, so let me put you into the game. Part of our learning, we have the opportunity to have e-learning sessions that we translate. We have 15 learning sessions. 15 minutes of learning sessions. As I said today, we are talking about networking and relationships. So when we do those languages, we translate, when we do those recordings, we translate every single recording into 3 different languages, into Ga, into Ewe, into Chi. So we, as part of when we are doing our conferences as well, we let those who are part of the Ghanaian language community, those who are joining us, so they can also understand the wrap-up session. So I won't ask you for your wrap-up in a Ghanaian language of your choice, or should I? No, I won't. So could you please give us your closing comments for today?
Sure. First, I want to say Madasi to you and to my Hausa people, Sendegida and Nagode for your time. And just very quickly, I just want to say this. Listen, I've been a journalist for over 10 years. I've covered death, destruction, war, strife. When this is all said and done, everything's going to be fine. And so I think that the main lesson here is remain calm. And if things are not going the way you anticipated this year, it's okay. This is a lesson and this is a moment for you to grow. So if you need to use, there's 6 weeks left in 2020. If we have to use these next 6 weeks to regroup, re-strategize, think of something new, that's fine. If you need to relax, and then start fresh in the new year. But please don't allow this coronavirus or anything else that's bothering you to stop you from understanding your worth and your value. So that's what I'll leave you with.
Don't let anything let you undermine or diminish your worth and your value. The year would end. Corona may or may not still be around, but don't let it be a freeze where you are now frozen in time and you can't do anything. Learn and make the best out of it.
Gifty, you are our last summer for today. Could you please give us your Could you please give us your closing thoughts for today?
Okay. So what I will say is that progress is not possible without change. Change can be good, it can be negative, it can be whatever. But even within that negative, we can still make progress. So you know what? Let the rain beat you, let COVID be out there, but make sure to use it as an opportunity to grow, irrespective of whatever you're doing. Try to overcome the challenges you have and have in mind that you're not the only one going through this. COVID came, people have lost jobs. COVID came, people have lost funding. COVID came, people have lost loved ones, but you're alive for a reason. So try to adapt and try as much as you can to make sure that this change helps you to grow, because nothing grows in our comfort zone. All the amazing inventions and the rest were done time and time and time and time and over and over and over again. So don't give up, because you're not alone.
Don't give up because you are not alone. And Gifty, I would like to express publicly our sincere appreciation to you, because you had a challenging few days, but you definitely adapted and said, no, I'll be part of this program, come here or high water. And we really, really, from the bottom of our hearts, appreciate you for being here with us today. So now I'll just give some notices or some for the rest of the program. And Zaina, thank you. Thank you for your regal self, and not just your regal self, but also your words of inspiration that you about adaptability that you give to us. And Kofi, I know you'll be back here. You are coming to give us stringers away, but thank you.
Thank you
for coming to let us know your story, because your story makes it a difference as well for those who are listening to us. Well, I have talked about our e-learning sessions for this week, so please be on our website. For those who are MTN subscribers, we have partnered with MTN, and they have zero-rated our website. So if you are an MTN subscriber, know that if you go there, you will not pay a cent for your data that you use on our website. When you leave our website, you would pay. But when you are on our website, all the 20 episodes, you listen to it for free. And when you do 10 episodes, you would get a certificate of participation. When you finish 20 episodes, you will get a certificate of completion. So please go and knock yourself out. This week on Thursday, the 19th, we are bringing you the CoRe Hangouts, the Springboard CoRe Hangouts, and we are talking about your resilience, your recovery. So be part of us Thursday night at 7 to 8:30. It's going to be a blast. And next week, Wednesday, which is November 29th, we are having the CoRe Lead Conference. And we are talking about the road to financial independence. Technically, it is the final, and I'm putting it in quotes, it is the final of the e-lead conferences for the CoRe program. So make sure that you are representing live and colored next week, Wednesday, from 10 a.m. And then on December the 1st, the first day in December, we would have another CoRe conference. And we are looking, and again, that is also our final CoRe conference. And we are telling you, don't miss this amazing experience as you have participated on both Zoom and Facebook. Well, as we leave today's conversation about change, sustainability, and adaptability, and I would add Gifty's last word of flexibility, don't forget, change happens. You can either be the change or you are the person that change happens to. Anticipate the change, monitor the change, adapt to the change quickly, enjoy the change, and be ready to find out how you can make the new change be sustained, either that or how you can ensure that the change that you have undergone can inure to your benefit. Until we come your way again, either on December 1st or this coming Thursday, do remember the CoRe program is here for you. Be part of our learning, be part of our mentoring, be part of our counseling, because we know that post-COVID will be resilient and we would also have recovered from the cons of the COVID-19. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going for a quick commercial break. When we come back, Kofi is taking us away with one of his amazing songs from his repertoire. Don't go anywhere.
Ladies, it's your turn to be wowed. Join our CoRe Wow Challenge. All you have to do is to post a video of yourself and share your best experience so far on the eLead conference. And you could be the lucky winner of some amazing prizes. Use the hashtag CoReLead. The video with the highest shares and likes across any social media platforms wins. So what are you waiting for? Share your video now. Deadline for this contest is on the 24th of November 2020. Winner will be announced on our final CoRe eLead conference in November.
It's your favorite Thursday night hangout here, and we want to make it even bigger. Join the CoRe Wow Challenge to win for yourself the Career Starter Pack Kit. Tell us, what is your biggest takeaway from our job readiness series, and you stand a chance of winning a book from Albert and Comfort Okran with other exciting prizes. You will also join them live on the CoRe Hangouts. All you have to do is share, retweet, repost with the hashtag CoRe Hangout across any social media platform. The post with the highest engagement wins. Deadline for this challenge is on the 24th of November 2020. The winner will be announced on our CoRe Hangout Showdown in November.
Deafening voices seek to seal the truth from settling in men's hearts, undermining the joy and strength of youth, trying to stifle our hope in life. Spend my life, for it is yours. My life is for you. 'Cause Lord, you died to rise for your kingdom's light, to mark every life, transform my heart and my chalet. The earth is yours really. Yes, please inspire plans and goals, find our servants born ready to go solely, Lord, to touch the world for you. Keep my mind stayed on you. Keep my mind stayed on you. Keep my mind stayed on you. Keep my mind on you. Keep my mind stayed on you. Keep my mind stayed on you. Keep my mind, yes, stayed on you. Keep my mind on you. Yes, spend my life, for it is yours. My life is for you. Oh, spend my life, for it is yours. My life is for you. 'Cause Lord, you died to rise for your kingdom's light, to mark every life, transform my heart and mind, chalet. The earth is yours really. Yes, please inspire plans and goals, find our servants born ready to go solely, Lord, for you. Keep my mind stayed on you. Keep my mind on you. Keep my mind stayed on you. Keep my mind on you. Thank you.
the basics. I brought one hour down so many times you don't want to even get up and just face it. You've been doing your best, trying to test every nest to find the best one you can lay in. That's why the CoRe project is here to help you gain skills to help you succeed and build your own nest, springboard you to success. Nah, you go break through. Charlie, even COVID can defeat you. Search inside your core and you see you got the MasterCard of life in you. And it's so true, it is past due, so don't let nobody deceive you. I brought one here, didn't crack, I said any that's so hot, so this is what you should do. Charlie, still move.
Mekoswa